Not many pieces of equipment are as challenging and versatile as good old gymnastics rings. So, if you happen to have a safe and sturdy place to hang these bad boys, then you have yourself a great piece of equipment that even a complete beginner can use to start from scratch and learn some pretty cool stuff. And that's what this video is all about. Real quick, I want to start off with a recommended weekly schedule. Okay, now this is just an example, but what I recommend is if you're a complete beginner, start off with just 3 days a week. And you can see here the 3 days I've plotted for the rings are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because those will be intense resistance training. So you'll want days off in between, and there's 2 days off on the weekends. But those days off don't mean that you're just sitting on your butt doing nothing, okay? As you can see here, I've put cardio and flexibility on the days off. So make sure you take a long walk, maybe go for a jog or something like that, and do some yoga or some stretching in the evening when you're watching Netflix and relaxing. As for the actual workout itself, I recommend starting off with a warm-up of at least 2 minutes of jumping jacks or equivalent aerobic exercise. After your joints are all warmed up and your blood's pumping, then you can start your heavy sets on the rings. And what I recommend is I like this order of push, pull, leg, and core. I'll show you the exercises to do later in this video, but you're going to focus on one exercise per movement. So you'll do your push exercise for 3 to 4 sets, and then move on to your pull exercise for 3 to 4 sets, and then your leg exercise, and then your core exercise. Doing at least 3 or 4 sets, whatever you're comfortable with, for each exercise, resting 2 to 3 minutes between sets, so you're maximizing strength for each set. Again, guys, this is only an example, so if you feel like you could do more sets, or maybe you want to do more exercises, that's up to you. You know your body better than I do. I just wanted to provide an example for people to get started. So let's start off with the push exercise. First, you're going to stand between your rings and press down to lift your feet up off the floor behind you. This is called a support hold. What's important here is that you press down using the entire upper body, and make sure that while you're pressing down, you're really engaging the shoulders and triceps and upper back. Keep those feet off the floor and build up to consistent 10-second holds before you move on to the next progression. And the second progression for push exercises is dip negatives. So get yourself up into a support hold like we were just working on, but now what you're going to do is bend at the elbows and slowly lower down like you're doing a dip, but at the bottom, place your feet back on the floor, reset, and then slowly, when you're ready, get back into another support hold, and repeat the dip negative. You're going to want to build this up to at least 5 negatives per set, and be able to do them nice and slow and controlled. Don't be fooled, guys. I know this doesn't look too hard, but trust me, it is. Once you start getting on rings and doing exercises, you'll notice that because of the instability of the rings, everything is much more challenging than bars. And for those of you who are complete beginners who haven't done dips on bars before, this is going to seem extremely challenging at first, but if you persevere, you will adjust to it and you'll build the strength rather quickly, and that is actually an advantage to start on rings early. And I'd say once you're able to consistently do 5 negatives per set, then you're ready to move on to the last progression that I'm going to show you here, which is full-blown dips. So get up into a support hold. This time you're going to do a negative, but come up. And as you can see here, I'm not turning my hands out. You'll see some people when they do dips on rings, they turn the hands out. I recommend you just concentrate on keeping those palms facing each other and focus on doing stable dips consistently. And you're probably noticing that my hands are shaking quite a bit as I do these dips, and that's what I'm talking about, guys. The instability of rings makes them very challenging. Okay, and next, let's look at the pull exercise that we'll be doing. So first, you're going to want to get below your rings, so now you're resting on the floor. Bend those legs, bring them up to 90 degrees, then raise those hips up to do a bridge. Keeping your torso horizontal, pull yourself up by bending at the elbows. And when you do this, you want to retract your scapula. You're doing body weight rows with bent legs. As you do these, make sure you keep the core tight. Try not to sag too much at the hips. And when you're pulling yourself up, you want to concentrate on really pulling the shoulder blades together. Okay, that's important here because you could do this without the proper scapular engagement, and if you do that, then you're not going to be developing the strength properly for front lever and other moves on rings that would be coming up in the future. So make sure you focus on that scapular retraction. To explain what I mean by this, here's a view from behind. Notice that as I pull up, my shoulder blades squeeze together. And what I like to do is pretend like I imagine that there is an egg between my shoulder blades. I'm trying to crack the egg every time I pull up. And doing nice slow reps is really going to help you focus on this, right? So slow reps, focusing on those shoulder blades coming together, that's the right way to do these. Now, once you can do 10 consistent proper reps, it's time to do the same exercise but with straight legs. Okay, so these are straight leg rows. And the difference is when you have straight legs and you're no longer bending at the knees, you have a little more resistance pulling down on your body. Again, keep your core nice and tight. Your body should be fairly straight. And one thing I forgot to mention with the previous bodyweight rows as well as these, notice that as I pull up, I turn my palms inward, okay? That's just something I do naturally to engage more biceps, and I like doing that, so try it out, see how it feels for you, but I really like turning like that when I do the bodyweight rows. And once you've built up to 10 reps consistently with the straight leg bodyweight rows, it's time to get below your rings, hold on to them tight, and what you're going to do is lean back and lift your butt up off the floor into what's called a tucked front lever, and hold this position for as long as you can. This is the first main progression to the front lever, and on rings it's much harder than hanging from a bar, so make sure you take your time with this, be patient if it feels really difficult at first. I'm also going to put one of those cards on the screen right here because I have an entire front lever tutorial if you want to see all the progressions for that. And now moving on to leg exercises with rings. First we'll do plain old bodyweight squats. So stand in front of your rings, grab one with one hand, make sure your feet are about shoulder width apart, and then I like to raise my other arm so it's parallel to the floor straight ahead. That keeps me looking straight ahead. And then go ahead and do squats. Make sure you move your hips backwards as you squat down and try to bring your butt as close to the floor as you can. A lot of beginners have told me when they tried deep squats at first that they had trouble maintaining balance. So by holding onto the ring, you're able to support yourself and make sure you don't fall backwards. Use this to your advantage and squat down slowly and as far down as you can comfortably go without straining your muscles. Now, if you're lacking flexibility, then just squat partially, and through time, you'll be able to squat further and further down to the floor. I recommend taking your time with bodyweight squats, building up the flexibility to get down deep to the floor, and building up the reps to at least 30%. I know that sounds like a lot, but the muscles in your thighs are really strong, so it's good to really build up the reps here before you move on. And of course, when you feel ready, start letting go of the ring and doing these unassisted. Once you feel like you have the deep squats down pat, you're going to grab onto a ring again, but this time, when you raise the other arm, you're also going to raise one leg and stick it out in front of you. And squat down partially, and then come back up. These are partial assisted pistol squats. As you work on these, you'll feel that you're able to go deeper and deeper as you keep practicing them. This is going to be the same thing as the bodyweight squats, where through time and practice, you're going to get deeper and deeper and gain more strength and flexibility. Build these up to about 8 or 10 reps, and of course, because it's a unilateral exercise, make sure you switch sides and you do the other leg as well, building that up evenly to the same number of reps. And then you'll be ready for the full assisted pistol squat, where you're now lowering down as far as you can go, trying to touch your butt to your ankles. I'm not saying you need to literally do that, but that's basically what you're going for when you do the full pistol squat. Again, remember you're holding onto a ring for support so you won't fall backwards. Okay, flexibility is a huge factor in pistol squats, but by holding onto that ring, you can build leg strength without requiring that flexibility. And again, just like you did with the partial assisted pistol squats, make sure you switch sides so you're working both sides evenly. The last thing you want is to have uneven strength in your legs. And finally, let's look at the core exercises you can use when you're starting out on rings. Start off with your rings about head height and grab onto them with a supinated grip, meaning palms facing you. Pull upwards like you're trying to do a chin-up, and then engage your core and bring your legs forward slightly so that your feet are hanging just above the floor. This bent arm hang is going to feel very difficult at first, so just be patient, keep working at it, and what you'll notice is it's a great challenge for your entire core. You're engaging not just the front, like your abs and your transverse abdominis, but also the lower back, everything. Even your quads, your glutes are tight here so that you can hold your legs out in front of you, your hip flexors, I mean everything. So work on this, build it up to at least 10-second holds, and then you'll be ready to start working on the second and third progressions. Okay, so for the second progression, you're going to do the same thing, but now you're going to tuck those legs up and try to hold them up by your chest. All right, this is the bent arm tuck. Concentrate on holding that for as long as you can, and once you can hold it for more than 10 seconds, experiment with extending one leg at a time. All right, this is getting you towards an L-sit in a bent arm hang, which is a pretty cool move to have once you start doing pull-ups and everything. And of course, if your rings are hanging high enough, you can also work on these in a straight arm hang too. And guys, don't forget you always have the floor in addition to the rings, so there's always some fun stuff you can do on the floor. And if you're interested in learning more about how I keep fit and healthy at home without relying on a gym, make sure you subscribe to my channel minus the gym, and please give this video a like if you found it helpful. If you tap the bell icon when you subscribe, YouTube will notify you every time I upload so you won't miss a video. Alright, see you in the next one.